Okay, so for the last couple of weeks, I've had access to Payday 3's next heist, Party Powder, and considering this is the game's first new heist in over 6 months, we aren't exactly back with a bang. By the way, if you want to be pedantic and suggest that the First World Bank remake doesn't count as a new heist, that puts us at over 8 months since Fear and Greed. I think it's important to highlight just how long we've waited for this new heist, as it's primarily through that lens that I find it so disappointing. Granted, I'm aware that the team have been dealing with so many different roadblocks over the last few months, so I was hardly expecting the next heist to blow me away, for lack of a better turn of phrase, but overall, I find the Party Powder heist quite underwhelming. Before jumping into the gameplay breakdown of the heist itself, it's important to know why we're doing what we're doing. The heist is contracted by Xiaoyu and actually has us breaking into one of her own warehouses to steal the heist's titular substance. The reason we're doing this because those warehouses are currently being raided by police officers. These aren't just any police officers though, they are corrupt members of the police force working for the Palatucci crime family, the same criminal organization that we ended up on the radar of by pulling off the First World Bank heist in Payday 3. So our reasoning for pulling off this heist is twofold. While we're mainly there to make sure Xiaoyu's product doesn't end up in the wrong hands, we'll also gladly take this opportunity to send a message to the Palatucci crime family, letting them know that the Payday gang aren't to be messed with, potentially setting up a gang war storyline that could unfold throughout the rest of Payday 3's second year. Then again, this heist isn't necessarily part of Payday 3's second year narrative, as the Party Powder heist finds itself amongst the side jobs category in the menus. This is not year 2, chapter 1. Typically, this is where I'd break down the heist's objectives in both loud and stealth, but as this heist shares a similar openness to Diamond District, allowing you to approach its different challenges in any order you see fit, there isn't really a predetermined way in which you'll play this heist. So instead, I want to run you through the different things you can get up to when playing the Party Powder heist. To secure all of the loot, there are a couple of different obstacles you'll need to overcome. In the outside areas of the heist, you'll come across different types of shipping containers. Some of them will require a QR code to be opened, and the others a blue keycard. You can find the blue keycard on one of the cops patrolling the heist, and QR codes can be obtained by hacking into phones you see lying around. Once inside one of those shipping containers, you'll have a chance to come across a crate containing some loot. If you decide, however, that being out in the open with cops patrolling all over isn't exactly where you want to be, you can venture inside one of the warehouses. In there, you'll find more crates for you to break open, as well as a lot of smaller bundles of the good stuff. On top of that, in one of the warehouses, you'll come across a cage that requires a PIN number to be entered in order for you to access it. You can find this number by hacking into the computer in the room on the floor above you, but you'll need a red keycard in order to enter that room. Once you find the PIN and make your way into the caged off area, there's a large pile of, well, you know what, for you to secure. That's the only really interesting thing in that warehouse. Throughout the rest of the area, there are just more crates for you to open. In the warehouse directly across the car park, there are again more crates for you to break into that may or may not contain some loot, and other than that, in this building, you'll need that same red keycard to access a room in which you'll find a formula for a meth lab. Ingredients are dotted all around the heist, but again, other than that room with the formula, there's nothing really special about this second warehouse at all. The third and final warehouse contains little more than the actual meth lab itself. Party Powder is the first heist in Payday 3 that allows you to cook meth as a side objective, unless you're playing on overkill, in which case you need at least a couple of bags of meth to secure enough loot in order to escape. I've got to say, while I have done it a couple times, I've not actually played too much of this heist on overkill. Most of the gameplay you're seeing in this video has been on very hard, because there are some noticeable difficulty tweaks in this update, and not to mention, one of the new heist's more redeeming qualities is the way enemies flow onto the map and go after you. I think from a combat perspective, this heist does play very well, but I don't necessarily know if that makes up for its shortcomings on the objective side. Just before we jump into all of my other thoughts on the heist, I wanted to take a moment to ask that if you are enjoying this video, you consider subscribing. We're trying to reach 5,000 subscribers before this heist releases in 12 days, and if we manage to reach that immense goal, I'm going to be going back to play and review all of the Payday 2 heists that I never got a chance to experience as a console player. I've also got some Payday 3 Year 1 edition codes to give away when we reach 5,000 as well. Bringing the conversation back to the heist and putting aside the reused and frankly underwhelming execution of the heist's objectives, despite the fact that I've just said combat is very fun on the heist, I actually think it's most fun in stealth. Making your way around the heist, avoiding cops at almost every turn, is quite engaging, and I think the most fun you're going to get out of this heist. Nonetheless, I don't think this heist is going to be a particularly popular one, as I honestly think it's one of the least replayable heists in the game. By the time I reached the end of my first time playing the heist, I already felt like I had seen everything there was to see. I think the absolute best thing to come out of this heist, though, is its soundtrack. Gustavo has whipped up yet another absolute banger of a soundtrack, and I think that while this heist is likely to become one people rarely revisit, the opposite is going to be the case for the soundtrack. It's probably way too early for me to say this definitively, but I think it's one of the best soundtracks we've had in the game so far. Please bear in mind I'm not musically inclined, so if I use the term wrong, don't scrutinize me in the comments too much, but I think the different textures that it plays with are fantastic. Gustavo, you have once again cooked up a delicious meal for us to tuck into. I know I've just absolutely glazed the soundtrack, but the overall tone of this video has been quite negative. It's quite clear that I haven't taken a liking to the new heist, but I wanted to be transparent and remind you that everything I've said so far in this video is just what I think about the heist. I'm aware that some other creators are also putting out videos today sharing their thoughts, and as I understand it, they also don't think too highly of it, but at the end of the day, just because we might not necessarily be a fan of the heist doesn't mean you aren't allowed to be. I would really love to see this heist grow on me over time, and I'm hopeful that the community getting their hands on it is going to be a key part in me seeing some of the more positive things it has to offer. I don't think it's a terrible heist, I just think it fails to do anything really unique. The level design is nice, it certainly breaks out of that mold of the clean and pristine feeling that most of the Payday 3 heists have had so far, and that is quite a welcome change. I didn't realise just how much I'd appreciate that until I actually played the heist. All of my criticism can be summed up quite quickly, and I think the title of this video gets that across. The party powder heist doesn't really bring all that much to the table, and as such, after you've played it once, there's really no reason to play it again. Which is upsetting, A, because this heist is a paid DLC, and B, because we've had to wait so long for it. I think it's important to remember though that this heist was created during a particularly rough period for Starbreeze. The company was going through some serious layoffs, and as such, I can't imagine morale was at an all-time high. There were also some major changes to management and support for Payday 3 on top of that. Not only have we recently had a new CEO step into the frame, which granted was likely very late into the development of this heist, so it would have had little effect, there was also the ongoing negotiation between Plyon and Starbreeze. During that time, I don't even want to begin thinking about how unstable Payday 3's future was, let alone how difficult it must have been to be developing content for the game during those discussions. Although none of what I've just mentioned excuses this heist's inadequacies, it's still something that I think is worth taking into account. Thankfully, this heist isn't the only thing coming in Update 14. It'll be accompanied by Armour 2.0 as well as a free weapon, but I'll save talking about all of that for a later date. If you're interested in learning more about the decision that was reached between Plyon and Starbreeze that leaves Starbreeze in complete control over Payday 3's future and what that might mean for the game's longevity, or if you're interested in my initial thoughts on Armour 2.0, you can click the video on screen now and I'll see you in the next video.